Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Vids, and we're back for some more Mardek, and of course, we made our way into the Fire Temple in the previous episode. Now, perhaps checking out what the deal is up here this time around. The green color is usually an indication of NPCs. What is an NPC doing in the middle of the Fire Temple? I don't know. Let's find out. We'll make our way over. And we saw that in terms of the types of enemies that we encounter here, there's definitely some overlap with the ones that we saw in the Crimson Peak. However, we do also have enemies like the Dank Roto, which was a little bit of a surprise because, well, it's purely dark elemental and definitely not fire. So throwing us for a little bit of a loop, perhaps, making it so that we can't use Sin Strike quite as much, but Zack has now mastered that. That's good to see, because that means we're not forcing ourselves into using it every turn, even if it's not necessarily the best option. However, we are still looking to master Coup de Grace, so that might be a reason for us to do that here. Which is also not a super high damage option. And there we see the attack that, yes, can poison. I think we did confirm that, but fortunately didn't get to happen this time around. And Vern, I think we established that you can take these guys out even if you don't use, say, Smite Evil. Yep, no problem there. And Legion, would you say just get rid of this Dank Roto? I think you can. Save some NP. And then Mardek, remember your normal attack is still Water Elemental with this sword. Don't even need to use Water Slash, so we can save some NP on you as well. Okay. Not so bad. And then, let's see what the... Whoa! That looks like Benny to me. Oh, hello there. We split up in order to be more efficient beating into the crystal, but it don't seem to be going so well. I have no idea what to do with this here thing, whatever it is. I know we're like enemies and that, but maybe we could help each other out, eh? Maybe you could take a look at this and see whether you have any luck figuring the blighter out. I suppose. Do you say anything else if we talk to you again? Go on, have a gander. I can't figure the bloody thing out. Okay. Soul Cage. Power Seeker. You must prove your power and speed, if you may be granted the eternal power of the Crystal of Flames. Let the test commence. The test commencing? Benny, excuse me. You didn't say anything about this. Okay, so we now have a Flame Soul that we're going up against, and we've not seen any of these guys before. What is the deal? It looks kind of like the Cage Soul that we saw in the past. Lots of fire resistance. Okay, that makes sense. Lots of weakness to water. Also makes sense. A lot of resistance to air. So, Vern, you're definitely going to need to use some skills if you want to deal any damage here. Does have some weakness to light as well. And so, going with something like, say, Smite Evil just to get the light elemental attacks could be worthwhile. And Big, we were talking about it earlier. Yes, it could be a good solution here. So, as for Zack, Sin Strike, we could go that route. What was the dark resistance? It is 20, which is a little bit, but maybe still we could make that happen. Let's give it a shot. See what the damage is like. 226. Does have a reaction. It's burn, and it numbed him. That's concerning. Oh, also, we have a timer in the top right corner, in case you missed that. So let's take this guy out immediately. Perhaps we should have not spent so much time worrying about figuring out what the best option is here, and just getting rid of him, because we're at less than 2 minutes. Does have relatively low HP. Do we need to take him out, or take him out and do anything else on top of that in that amount of time? We're about to find out. So as we don't have that much remaining, Mardek doesn't have room for that. Okay. Timer seems to be gone now, fortunately. Beauty! Now run, I'd say. Oh yes, we do still have a timer. 1:36. So let's scram, because yeah, that's absolutely reason for us to go faster here. We'll skip as many fights as we can, because we're probably going to need to do that. And so, hopefully, we did not set ourselves up for failure here. Looks like we're on decent pace as long as we don't go into any of those fights that we cannot escape, because we saw a few of those in the past. Now that we're in the middle, ooh, now we're good. Okay, take a deep breath. We're all set. On that side, at least. We do, of course, have for those side doors, and are we gonna find ourselves in a similar situation there? Of course, we saw Vinny at the end of that route. There are 3 other world saviors, so I wouldn't necessarily rule it out. And I'm wondering, if we were to say, switch party members for this, is there anyone who we would rather have if we are particularly concerned about taking these guys out as quickly as possible? Because Legion was great with Gem Explosion and also could have gone with a water spell as well. Mardek with the water sword is extremely effective too. Between them, that might be enough damage to take those types of enemies out quickly. Vern and Zack, we saw neither of them did much in the way of damage. I think one thing we would find is that if, say, Mardek were to get numbed, then we would be in pretty deep trouble because he was supplying roughly half of the damage. Legion has magic, and that won't be affected by numb because numb is specifically something that stops physical attacks. So at least we have Legion, but remember how both Zack and Vern got numbed there? So I'm just wondering if that switched around a little bit and we got unlucky and Mardek was actually the one to get numbed, could we be in trouble? And I think the answer is potentially yes. However, I'm trying to think of who we might benefit from swapping in for one of these two. And the only answer that comes to mind would be, say, Gloria, because she, of course, has a water spell. That seems like the logical solution. And we could do that here. Maybe we give this a shot, though, with our current setup, because, of course, we have seen a fair bit of Gloria, and not as much of Zack and Vern in Chapter 3. So I say let's keep on going with this current group, and if we find that we're running into issues, then that is probably the change that we'll make. If you are playing along with us and you are also in the Fire Temple, then yeah, I'd recommend probably going with Gloria instead. So, let's head on out into another one of these rooms, except first and foremost, 3 Fire Elementals, okay. If we were to, say, coup de grace on one of these guys, don't think it's going to be anywhere near enough damage. Definitely not. Remember, there will be a reaction. Still dealing a fair bit of damage even if we hit our reaction. And Vern, I don't think you can really take one of these guys out here. I think in the past we were using Sin Strike with Zack, which dealt a little bit more damage than coup de grace, and that was allowing you at the time to finish off one of these Fire Elementals with, say, a Smite Evil, but not enough damage here. Fortunately, Vern does have the fire armor, so he has tons of fire resistance, and with all those pendants, oh dear. If we hit our reactions, we don't take too much damage. Zack, however, has a little bit less fire resistance because he is air elemental, and air elemental has some weakness to fire, and also I missed that reaction. That was the wrong person to miss the reaction on, because he saw that that took out roughly half of his HP. That was somewhat alarming there. Legion, you could definitely take someone out here. I think you go for one of the ones that does not have any damage on it yet. And then probably the same deal with Mardek here. And then you were to say use Sin Strike here, Zack. Think you'd have enough damage? You do. Okay. Good thing, because if you didn't and we missed the reaction, you probably would have gone down there. Fire Essence as well. I think, to tell you the truth, probably worth doubling back for just a second to heal up. Because that hurt. Okay, and what do we find here? So, 3 chests. Seems like 3 different paths, so take your pick as to which one we go down here. Okay, more Dank Rotos, along with the Magmazard. So that means, again, let's perhaps get closer to mastering coup de grace. And the attacks, well, there is the poison. I was gonna say, probably best if you do target Mardek. But that poison, of course, is less than ideal, but hopefully we can take these guys out quickly enough that it doesn't become a major issue. As for Vern here, why don't you take out this Dank Roto? Crit will definitely do the trick. Legion, I think you can probably get rid of this one. I think we tried doing this in the past. It was successful. Probably hit the reaction that time around, but even without it, you're able to take it out. So Mardek, I think because you just have a water elemental attack, even with your default attack here, that should be fine. We'll make a point of removing that poison. Maybe even with an antidote there. However, I think we're probably okay just using Remove Taint to do that. Anyone else needs anything? Not really. Okay, what do we have here? A large and dramatic bridge, perhaps? Okay. Except nothing obvious on this side here. I do see that there's a chest on that end. How do we get there, though? Looks like maybe we have to go down and around. More fire elementals, and they are a little bit tricky, so I think it probably does make sense for us to say, make a little bit of exception here, and not work on coup de grace this time round, instead use Sin Strike, because we know it won't kill, but it will deal more damage, which hopefully sets up Vern. fortunately did hit the reaction there, but even with that, it still deals a fair amount of damage. Now with the Smite Evil, I'm hoping this is enough damage. It is. Okay. So that's the difference maker there. We can take one out in 2 hits. We use Sin Strike. Oh, I missed the reaction on Legion. Ever so slightly. So we could Bubble Breath and get rid of 1. Let's do that. And then we could use a normal attack. Get rid of this one. And then, is it worth healing with Mardek on, say, Zac and or Legion? It arguably could be. Let's perhaps just consider that here. I think Zac, we saw, has definitely been the most vulnerable here. Does also have the lowest HP of everyone in the party right now. So let's make a point of doing that. Legion, I think, hopefully can last a little bit longer here. Let's also just remove a little bit of items from Mardek's inventory, pump them to someone else's, because I'm imagining going into that fight at the end, and say if we have another one, just like what we had in the previous zone, and we're trying to loot the stuff, we see that Mardek can't carry any of the items, and then that wastes some time as we're fumbling around in our inventory, so let's set ourselves up for success there. Okay. What I was saying is maybe if we loop around this way, that might allow us to, yes, go over here and take this chest, which is an M runestone, which is a powerful crafting material. Okay. And there we actually get a pretty good look at what is to the southern route. The answer is, well, nothing, based on what we can see here, but don't know what's in that bottom left corner. Let's head on over in this direction, and further to the left. See what we can find. Oh, a switch. Oh, look at that, though. It's blocked on this side. That is devious. So this is the wall that we want to be able to make it through. We'll need to flip that yellow switch here, so we do want to go to the rightmost route at the beginning in order to loop around to get there. Okay, this does seem to be the most common setup. Or maybe it just so happens that we lucked out in that way. I do think it is probably one of the easier ones. The Dank Rotos, yes, are different in that they are Dark Elemental rather than Fire, and for the most part we've optimized our damage, at least, for dealing water damage, which is not the most effective against the Dank Rotos, but someone like Vern could, of course, use Smite Evil if necessary. Not that that will be necessary here, of course. Because we have this fight pretty much down pat at this point. We've had our fair share of practice. Okay. Not bad. And as I was saying before, we're getting a reasonable amount of coins from these fights, so they do start to add up. And of course, also remember that we are looking to fill the Miasmal Chalice, which we, of course, started with 0%, but now after having done a reasonable amount of fights here, of course we haven't checked recently, but could find that that's in a reasonable place now. Okay, so directly up would be that switch, but further to the left here is another chest, and an Ether for MP restoration, and we saw that Legion can burn through their MP pretty quickly. Have we seen all Dank Rotos? I think we have once or twice, but this is perhaps a little bit more unusual, and more opportunity to use coup de grace. So we'll make it happen. They will all go here, and they will probably all use that skill, and so chances were that at least one person would get poisoned. However, they got 2. So burn here and get rid of 1 in 1 turn, so that's good. Legion, did you need to attack one of the ones that Zac had damaged in previous fights, or would you have enough damage to take one out outright? Let's give it a shot here. No, you do not. Okay, that's a little bit concerning. Mardek, you definitely can. And Zac, this one would be close. Let's go for the one with lower HP. We're sticking with coup de grace. And that is mastered now. There's no more need to force ourselves into using that. We can just take whatever skill happens to be most effective, and oftentimes I think it has actually been the default attack. So, Burn, you can definitely take this guy out here if you don't miss, except you did. So, Legion, you'll do the honors, thank you. Mardek will definitely have some poisons to remove here. There is coup de grace mastered, as we saw. So let's do this, and did we take enough damage from that to warrant a heal? I think we're probably okay. So let's head on up, do the switch, which should be in this direction, as we saw before. Okay, and now you just saw the door is now open. If we go back the way that we went before, we can now make it through here. And we have not yet tried going up to this left route to see where this ends up. That might also be worth checking out. My guess would be a chest, because yeah, we only have 2 out of 3 chests at the moment. Let's try that. Okay, charred bones and magmazards. It's a little while since we last saw the charred bones. And now that we could, say, use whatever skill we want on Zack, let's take a new look at what people's air resistances are. Answer is 0 for the charred bones, and 0 for the magmazards. So I think our answer may actually be to use a default attack against the magmazard. And it's been so long since we last did this, I have no idea how much damage Zack is going to do. In fact, I'm pretty sure that we might just never have attacked these guys with Zack on his new weapon, so this is perhaps new territory for us, and it is more damage, yes, but still not enough. Burning Blow, I do think, has the chance of causing numb, and fortunately it did not there, because that would of course create some issues. Okay, so Vern should be able to take out this Magmazard that has not taken any damage yet. We should target this one here. Oh, except, hold on, it has 16 HP. Now this is perhaps a tad concerning. We could, of course, use Tsunami and likely take out everyone in one turn with Legion. It would burn through a lot of MP. Do we feel comfortable doing that? You know, I think that might be a good way to go here, because otherwise, people are going to have the opportunity to take perhaps numerous turns before we take them out, and maybe not ideal for that to happen when, like I said, many enemies in here can cause numb, and that gets a little bit tricky to take care of. Picking up more balloon juices, though, that is helpful, making it so that we can remove those when they do arise. So let's head back up, like I was saying, and we'll actually try the leftmost route here, because I anticipate that we'll find that that is where the last chest is, and I think we'll find that the area where we unlocked the door is likely the quote-unquote correct direction. So, with Zack, again, we could, say, do whatever we want here, skill-wise. Let's double-check the rubies. They do have 50% dark resistance, but that's actually less resistance than they have for many other elements. And with 37 defense, that does mean that it would be normally quite hard to deal damage with physical attacks, but remember, Sin Strike effectively ignores defense. Magmazards. Okay. If you attack Vern with fire damage, then that's fine. He will heal. But with his fire armor. Vern, the ruby has not yet gone yet, and we might be able to take it out here. However, I thought I remembered that you had a bit of trouble breaking through that 37 defense in the past. If you hit your reactions are really strong, and can in fact add quite a bit of damage, so that might be enough. But I'm actually wondering if it might be best to save, say, Legion for doing that, because Legion does go next, and before the crystal, and Legion could use a magic skill to take it out. Let's focus on a Magmazard in that case, and we saw that we didn't quite have enough damage to take out one of the higher HP ones in the previous fight. Let's go this route, and yeah, that would not have been enough. It's a good thing that we did. This time I think we can just use a Bubble Breath. No need for a Tsunami. And then Mardek can take out this one here. And then it does probably mean that we will have one more turn of Magmazard attacks, because Zack will not take this guy out here, but compared to the previous time around where we were looking at potentially a Magmazard and a Charred Bones and maybe even more, I think that's still not nearly as bad. We'll take a little bit of damage here and there. Okay. Now we head back on up, and what I'm saying is we go this route, see where this leads us. The answer is up, and yes, to a chest. Phoenix down is not bad. Sure thing. So we'll head over to the only other place we've not yet been, that being through the door that we unlocked. This is the combination I was talking about before. And so what have we learned, if anything? I think the answer is that, by and large, Zack, unfortunately, is not going to be a huge contributor here. He's not going to be able to take anyone out in one hit. But normal attacks are still preferable to Sin Strikes. There's a Rage Cord on Vern, which probably is okay. We were probably going to use default attacks with him anyway. Getting extra damage on him is probably helpful. So who does he attack, though? Well, Charred Bones that he's capable of taking out in one hit, so that's fine. And we saw that it was Zack there, I believe, that leveled up. So that's good as well. Legion, probably a Bubble Breath to say, I'm thinking take out a Charred Bones. And Mardek should be able to take out a Magmazard. Let's go for the one that has no damage yet. Then Zack, I don't think you're going to have enough damage here. Gonna be close. No, you did. I'm sorry, I apologize. I take it back. You were fine. Okay, human skull. Sure. No problems, right? And I thought I saw that somebody was leveling up recently. I think it was Zach, and I think it was an odd number level, and therefore should not have picked up any additional RP, but let's just double check if there's anything else we can apply for anyone else. Answer appears to be no for Mardek and Legion. For Zach, we could theoretically swap around some offensive reactions here, but I don't think we're seeing too much in the way of insects. A little bit in the way of undead, but we'll probably stick with Drain HP here. Nothing else. And Vern, you could throw on, say, just an additional 2 agility, or take off experience and put on something like Bright Eyes or Purity. Don't think we've seen much in the way of curses, blindness, or sleep, though. Let's just throw on a little bit of extra agility. And then you also do have room for plus 20% evasion, and you've only partially mastered that. That's definitely something we want to add here. And for Vern, this is an interesting question. We could get rid of Drain HP to add plus 20% crit chance. He has been critting a fair amount because his sword does have a base 10 crit chance, which is pretty high. But are we willing to make this sacrifice here? It might be worthwhile. Of course, higher damage, but less defenses. And if we're expecting some more racing to happen here, then it might be best to just maximize the damage. So we'll go this route. This is, I believe, the way that will send us through that area that was previously blocked by the door. Right up here. Yes, it does. And this time, looks like Bartholomew. Ah, you again! I've no time to deal with you now. I'm trying to figure out what in the hell this thing here is. I'm sure that it is tied to the crystal somehow, but it will not respond to anything that I do. Well, maybe I could look at it. Huh. Go ahead then, puny soldier. It will be amusing to watch you have no more success than I have had, and then to drop to the ground in tears, wishing you were a fraction as great as me. Alright, well, we'll just see about that, Bartholomew. What do you think? I've tried everything. I've tried yelling at it, screaming at it, shouting at it, hitting it with my sword, and so on, in that general fashion, but nothing. Nothing works. This temple is clearly very poorly made. I don't know. Okay, remember, this does look very similar to the tome that we were walking up to in the previous room, and that probably means we're about to go into another one of those fights that will be timed, so let's speed through it. Because, yes, it is another soul cage. Power Seeker, you must prove your power and speed, that you may be granted the eternal power of the Crystal of Flames. Let the test commence. Okay, yes, 2 minutes here. Okay, so let's be quick. Thin Strike, don't remember if that was necessarily the right answer, but we'll do it here. He attacks, numbs Zack. Okay, his actual turn. Also, attacks Zack. Burn, Smite Evil. Don't know if that's actually the right answer. I missed the reaction. That's not good. Also attacking again. Numbs Burn. Not good. Okay, Humble Breath. Water damage. Good. Mardek, use a Water Slash. Take it out. It is down. Okay. I feel like this is less time than we had in the previous room. Only a minute 30. Okay, take it. Go. Bartholomew, what did you do? I don't know. We gotta go. Skip those fights. Head out of here. Fortunately, I think this pathway is a little bit shorter than the one that we saw in the previous room. Get on out. Okay, still more than a minute. Okay. No big deal. Plenty of time. I wasn't worried. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? We were gonna be fine. Okay, maybe even say like worth saving, just in case. Okay, and let's try going down perhaps one more of these rooms and take your pick. Top, bottom. Let's go for the top one here and see what we find. The answer is 11 chests. What? That's ginormous. Okay, so I would expect that this is probably the largest of all the rooms in that case, based on just how that is a ginormous number of rooms. And instinctually, I canceled that fight. No, we don't need to do that right now. We aren't on the run just yet. We could take a gold ring here, which is, we've seen in the past, basically just an accessory with 3 defense. I think it actually does give a defensive reaction as well, but for the most part, we've outgrown that at this stage. And it looks like this year is probably the totem that we saw in the previous rooms, given how it has the NPC indication there. it looks like it's a pretty direct route. And again, I'm canceling those battles just on that instinct that we ought to do that because, well, we were running before, but not necessarily something we need to do right now. Fire Pendant is actually a pretty good pickup. We, of course, have, I believe, all that we need at the moment. Okay, this time, I let it happen. I could feel the urge to press the cancel button, but this time we'll do it. We'll Sin Strike, which means Zack will get a reaction against it here. As long as we hit the reaction, the damage isn't too bad. Then Vern with the Smite Evil. Can take him out. No problems there. So yeah, I think what we saw was that the amount of time we had to leave the rooms might have been a little bit different based on how large the room was. And this room is ginormous, yes. However, that's a pretty direct route from the totem to the door. I feel like there's a chance this would be an even shorter amount of time. Okay, and we were to say, let's try going up and over here. And no loot here, though that did look somewhat dramatic in nature. Perhaps up here. This looks very dramatic. This has got to be a fight, right? There's no way this isn't a trapped chest. Because it is. This time round, all fire elementals. Okay, we can Sin Strike, yes. Does mean it will deal damage to Zack. You ready for the reaction? Okay, we got it. Still reasonable amount of damage, though. Burn, you can Smite Evil. Make sure it's on the one that we've already damaged. That we did. One down, but now they'll take all their turns. If you want to attack Burn, that's fine. He will heal. We hit all of our reactions, so other than that, no damage against Legion. Legion could Bubble Breath. Take another one out. Let's do that. And Mardek, a default attack should be enough from you. And then that probably means we'll do another one of those combinations of Sin Strike with Zack plus Smite Evil with Vern. But they will get the chance to use a reaction against Zack. So Zack taking a few hits there. And arguably could use a heal. Flame Tongue is what we picked up. So remember, this was a battle that was tied to the chest, so this is a guaranteed drop from this specific chest, whereas the Fire Essence, I think, is more so from the enemies that we just fought. Let's check out the Flame Tongue, and the Fire Essences. We've seen plenty of those. Zack also just mastered +2 strength that he was getting from, I believe it was the Ruby. He actually, theoretically, could, say, throw on one of those Fire Pendants that we just picked up to increase Zack's fire resistance even more. Might not be a bad idea, given how Zack has been taking the brunt of the damage, it seems. So, if you've mastered this, it does mean that his damage will go down, because the Ruby was giving him +3 strength. Means that a sacrifice we're willing to make in the name of some additional defenses. As we were saying before, it seems like in this area, maybe damage trumps all, because in some occasions, for times, so maybe for that reason we do stick with the Ruby for the moment. As for the Flame Tongue, though, let's take a look at that. It is a sword with 39 base power on the attack, which is 2 higher than the current Fish Slayer, so a little bit stronger in that way. It is a semi-legendary sword, said to have been used in some great battle thousands of years ago, or some such. And it gives the Fire Slash ability for Mardek, in addition to being Fire Elemental and being effective against air and having +1 strength. So basically, it is the fire version of this water sword here. And of course, that means that much like the Fish Slayer was in the Water Temple, Flame Tongue probably not going to be the best idea in the Fire Temple because there are so many fire enemies, and it is very nice to have the opportunity to, say, just use a default attack with Mardek, not have to use any MP, and still be extremely effective. So we'll probably stick with this here, but it is very much a strong pickup and something we'd like to have the opportunity to put on Mardek in the future. Say if we were to go into an area with a lot of air elemental enemies, then could be just as effective as, say, the Fish Slayer is in this area with a lot of fire enemies. So, let's see what else we have in here. Couple Dank Rotos, Magmazard, okay. Seen you guys before. And Zack's Sin Strike damage, you'll see there, is going up a little bit higher. Fire Breath is actually something that Legion just learned, and we've seen a lot of that, but I guess that's actually the first time that anyone has used it on Legion, strangely enough. So, good to pick that up, yes. Burn. Why don't you take out a Dank Roto here? That one attacks Zack, and again, Zack is taking a lot of the hits here. There is Fire Breath, a basic fire elemental spell-like ability which inflicts damage and rarely numbness. So that is the first fire skill that Legion picks up, and seeing as how we're in the Fire Temple, fitting. However, for the moment, can you take out a Magmazard here? I'm actually not sure. I think in the past we might have been attacking the Dank Rotos with Sure Slash with Zac, so might not be a combination that is known to us just yet, and unfortunately the answer is not quite enough damage. Let's take out the Dank Roto with Mardek, and then Zac can do basically whatever you want to take out this guy here. Should have plenty of damage. Okay, Fire Essence, sure. And then if we are headed back, we can double check which direction we ought to head in. And the answer is that there's a lot of stuff in there. However, it is seemingly blocked by a red door, which we may not have unlocked just yet. We'll have to see if there's a switch down somewhere else. And it looks like there's even a Trilobite in there. Okay, all Dank Rotos. So I think we probably use a default attack with Zac here. And I think we might have seen that you don't quite have enough damage. Except you do, so I probably made that same statement before and you proved me wrong, and yet I didn't remember, so I'm sorry. Legion, however, I think you definitely cannot take one of these guys out in one hit. So that might mean that we do need to spend some MP here, or we just be a little bit more patient and say, accept the fact this guy will survive one attack, and leave it to Zac or Vern to take it out. That shouldn't be a big issue there. Doesn't mean it has the opportunity to take any more turns, so no big deal. And that was 1,000 gold from that fight. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so, yes, can confirm. It is blocked by red doors. Is there a red switch anywhere in this general area, though? There's a chest up here. Okay. So, seen this combo before, yes. I think the answer is that Zac, unfortunately, doesn't have a great person to target. We'll go after a Magmazard. Mardek is numbed, that's concerning. Mardek, of course, being one of our primary damage dealers, like we were saying before. It's maybe acceptable if someone like Zac gets numbed, but Mardek was basically a guaranteed kill every time he had his turn, so that is a pretty big loss here. Could we still finish this fight without removing said numb? Possibly, but it'd be tough. So what if we say, maybe even go with a Disrupt Undead against a Charred Bones? That should be enough damage to take one of these guys out. I think those guys were typically enemies that were leaving to Mardek. And Bubble Breath, probably best to use that on, as well, the Charred Bones here. Mardek won't be able to use any physical attacks here, unfortunately. We could perhaps take an opportunity to heal everyone here. Not super necessary. Zac has healed up some of the damage he's taken. Mardek, you've taken a little bit of damage. Legion, a little bit of damage. So it's overkill normally, I would say, in this circumstance, but since Mardek can't use any physical attacks here, might as well, I think. And Zac, you can definitely take out this Magmazard here. Certainly. Zac could have taken out the one with full HP, had we known that you were going to crit. But fortunately, no damage there when we hit the reaction, so Vern, we're in no rush. So even if you don't take this guy out, not an issue, meaning that Legion can follow up with a physical attack. Okay, and now let's make a point of removing that numbness. Okay. If we head on up this way, there is this chest here. It has a remedy to remove all status effects, so not bad. And there might be something in this bottom right corner here, but it looks like for the most part we see that there's a big loot area here and it is blocked, and we may not have a way to unlock it in this room at least. We'll have to see if the answer is in this corner. The answer appears to be no, just another chest with some really cold water, which is of course the water damage potion, which is quite helpful here, because someone like Zac would not normally have access to any water damage skills, so we'll throw it on him. And then I think that means that we'll have to come back for this loot room on some other occasion once we have flipped that switch. And let's instead make our way up to what I anticipate will be another one of those totems. It's been a while since we saw this combination, Amberistals and Rubies. So, with Zac, I think we saw that Sin Strike was perhaps the best option here, because although these guys do have 50% Dark Resistance, meaning that Zac will deal half damage, that's still not a bad answer, because breaking through 37 defense is very tough. We'll do that. Amberistal fortunately uses a fire spell that we can outright mitigate. Then Burn. I think we saw that you had trouble breaking through those defenses on the rubies, so say if you were to go for the Amberistal instead. Let's give that a shot. Oh, because if I missed the reaction, oh, we probably would have done it. Probably would have taken it out if I'd hit the reaction, because that was a crit. And the Bubble Breath, let's go for the ruby that has not yet been damaged. Okay. And it targets Zach with the spell there, which is, again, probably the least ideal, because we could outright mitigate that damage with anyone else. Mardek, fortunately, you are no longer numbed here, so you can use an attack on... Well, I think we saw that that happened previously. The default attack, even if it is Water Elemental, not enough to take out a ruby. I was thinking, oh, it has more life. We should target that one with Mardek. Mardek's strong. Nope. Not a good idea. We could say, we want to use Sin Strike on the Amberistal. It does have both a physical shield and the 50% resistance, whereas the ruby only has 50% resistance. So I think we actually do it on the ruby here. Still not enough to take it out. But the flame on Burn, that's fine. That heals him. No problems there. Burn, I think you definitely do need to attack this guy here, and yes, with the reaction, it goes down. Legion, I think you just use Bubble Breath to take this guy out. Okay. Not so bad. And then, if we head up, basically straight up, that is where we would expect to find our next round of fire totem things. This time, Aelia.
Oh, it's you. We split up and I don't like being by myself. Ugh. I have to figure out this thing, but I don't know what it is. Maybe you can help?
Okay, we can try it out.
Go and have a look. I can't help you. Lol.
Power Seeker, you must prove your power and speed, that you may be granted the eternal power of the Crystal of Flames. Let the test commence. Okay, so before we start this one, let's just remind ourselves that it seems like the timer has changed from one room to the next, and this room, although large, does have a very direct route out, so I'm concerned that this might be our shortest timer yet. 2 minutes. Okay, so, Sin Strike. Go after him. Hit the reaction, fortunately. His reaction, numbed Zach. His actual turn, Berserk Mardek. I think that's okay. On Burn's turn, just use the default attack. Probably should have used something other than that. Burn actually doesn't get numbed. That's good. Bubble Breath, use that. Take him out. Fair bit of damage. Mardek we won't be able to control, but he is enraged. Uh-oh, not quite enough damage. That's a concern. Zach, can't do anything. You're numb. Pass your turn. Curses Mardek. This is already our worst one yet. Smite Evil with Burn. Okay, that's enough damage, yes. We have a minute 20 or so. Go. Mastered some stuff, including Resist Fire. Great. Yay, it worked! Okay, we gotta go, though. Just over a minute. Fortunately, I think, what with this being a short route here... if I had actually skipped that fight, we would have been fine. Let's make a point. Oh, not I'm waiting. I meant to flee. Uh-oh. We're in trouble now. We are in trouble now. We cannot flee, notably. We are probably going to lose in that case. This is going to be an issue. People are also numbed. Tsunami, bail us out. Please bail us out. Gets rid of both people, so notably we were not able to flee. Normally you would be able to flee on this screen here, but does not allow you in this instance. So I was very concerned. Mardek was numbed. I think Zach might have also been numbed. However... Oh, bullet dodged. Okay, so with that, that means that we've cleared out 3 of the 4 rooms. Of course, we saw that there was a big area in that previous room that had lots of chests in it and a Trilobite Warrior. However, we didn't have the switch flipped to get through into that area. So we'll have to be on the lookout for finding that switch. Maybe it's in the last room here, or maybe we even need to find the crystal first. I don't know, but either way, that'll have to wait for next time, so I'll catch you then.